He was living a peaceful life when a scared journalist knocked his door for help. For many, he was just a jobless man like me. But on that day, everyone learned about his reality, but with fear in heart. Welcome back to Paramount Recapped. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me. So, picture this. About 12 years ago in Kiev, Ukraine, there's this MI6 special ops guy named Martin Baxter. He's on a mission to intercept some files that are supposed to be handed over from a Russian FSB agent named Retta to a journalist called Igor Stianenko. Igor shows up, but surprise, he's not alone. In the car with him is Olga, who's actually an undercover MI6 agent, and get this, Martin's wife. Just as Martin is about to report this in, chaos erupts. Igor gets killed, and Retta is shot dead by some assassins. Martin starts firing back at the attackers, but they manage to grab the package. He rushes over to Olga, who's stunned to see him there, and he tells her to stay put. Then he goes after the shooters and the package, dodging bullets along the way. He even climbs on top of the bus to get a better view. One of the shooters spots him, but Martin manages to take the guy down and retrieve the files. He heads back to Olga, only to find a Russian agent holding her at gunpoint, demanding the bag. Martin insists the agent let her go first, but the agent shoots Olga in the side. Martin, in shock, drops the bag and opens fire. Fast forward to present-day London. Martin jolts awake from this nightmare. He's now working as a club bouncer in London and makes some extra cash by kickboxing. His daughter, Lisa, is kind of like his unofficial coach. She warns him about his latest opponent's reach and advises him to use his jab and create space. But Martin, being the tough guy he is, thinks he can just walk in and smash the guy. Lisa isn't convinced and decides to place a bet on Martin's opponent. The match begins, and just like Lisa predicted, the opponent is dangerous. She tries to give Martin advice from ringside, but he keeps trading blows until he takes a brutal knee to the face. Lisa even yells for him to quit. The hit throws Martin off, and an uppercut sends him to the canvas. After the fight, Lisa collects her winnings, which ticks Martin off. He can't believe she bet against him, but Lisa knew he wasn't focused lately. That night, while Lisa is downstairs, Martin is with a woman. Everything's going fine until she turns on the lights, and Martin sees a vision of Olga, which kills the mood. He sends the woman away, feeling guilty. A day at the range. The next day, Martin takes Lisa to a building for some target practice. Lisa opens up about wanting to settle down and get an education because she's worried about her future. Martin brushes it off, thinking he's teaching her all she needs to survive. But Lisa is determined to start school. Later, Martin is getting ready for work when he sees news reports about an attempted murder of a Russian opposition activist named Skurv and his wife using a nerve agent. At work, he tries to break up a fight, but ends up beating up a patron and gets scolded by his supervisor. Enter Sasha. Later on, a young woman approaches Martin and calls him by name. He swipes her ID and sees her last name is Stefanenko. He tracked her down inside the club and returns her ID, wanting to know who she is. Her name is Sasha, and Igor was her father. She shows him a photo of Martin with Olga and Igor to prove it. She explains that she's continuing her father's work and needs Martin's help to retrieve the files. Suddenly, gunmen open fire on Martin and Sasha, causing chaos in the club. They barely escape, and Martin takes out two of the shooters in the kitchen. He doesn't see Sasha, so he rushes home, only to find his doors already open. He cautiously enters with a bat and sees Lisa sleeping, unharmed. Unwanted visitors. As he continues, he encounters CIA agent Trevor and MI6 agent John Edwards. They're there because of his meeting with Sasha and want to know what they talked about. Martin plays it off as nothing. Trevor reminds him of their agreement to stay out of each other's business and the consequences if he broke it. Trevor asks about the files, but Martin recalls that the Russians got them after the mission 12 years ago and everything was over. The agents don't believe him. Edwards shows him a photo of one of their dead agents who was working with Sasha to find the files, warning him that the Russians will come looking for him too. Lisa wakes up, and Trevor tells her he's known her since she was a baby. He continues telling Martin they want his help to recover the files, as it could reveal the traitor who killed Olga. Lisa insists her mother died in an accident, but Martin stops the agents from revealing more and demands they leave. He tries to explain to Lisa that he was trying to protect her, but she's upset that he lied and wants him to leave her alone. Now, with the truth out and feelings about Olga resurfacing, Martin sits alone, brooding in his room, the urge for answers growing stronger. On the move. The next morning, Martin tells Lisa to pack her stuff because they have to move. She tries to argue, but Martin doesn't have time to explain and insists she do as he says. He goes to put their luggage in the car when a man knocks him unconscious. Martin wakes up bound to a chair before Russian intelligence agent Tatiana, who demands the files, smashing Martin's finger with a hammer when he denies knowing anything. She wants to know where Sasha is hiding the files. Martin insists he saw a Russian agent take the files with his own eyes, but she doesn't believe him. Tatiana then shows him a live video of Lisa, revealing they've kidnapped her. So Martin confesses that Sasha knows the location of the files and he can get them for her. Tatiana reports to her superior, who demands Sasha also be handed over dead or alive and gives Martin 24 hours to complete his task. He's then tossed out on the side of the road, and MI6 Edwards is already tracking him. Martin gets in his car when another vision of Olga appears, telling him to bring Lisa home. Tatiana tells Lisa that Martin is just picking up a package for them and offers to get her anything. So Lisa orders a smoothie. Tatiana then puts on some cartoons for her to watch. Edwards follows Martin to Maxim's club and calls it in to Trevor, who wants him to go in and check it out. But Martin suddenly holds Edwards at gunpoint, telling him to stop following. Martin heads inside to speak with Maxim, asking him about Sasha and describing her, but Maxim denies knowing the woman. Martin shows him one of his cards he found in Sasha's wallet and pulls a gun to show he means business. He suspects that Sasha tracked him down through Maxim and demands he take out his cell phone. Maxim hands over the cell phone, but hits a panic button. A guard enters, and Martin ends up shooting Maxim before taking out Maxim's guards. Martin fights and shoots his way out of the club before escaping back to his car. There, he scans Maxim's cell phone and gets Sasha's location. Meanwhile, Lisa has gotten quite comfortable with Tatiana, watching a boxing match and chatting away about betting odds. Finding Sasha, Martin breaks into Sasha's apartment. Initially, he sees no sign of her until she appears behind him. He tells her he's there to help, smashes her cell phone, and gives her a burner. She's not scared of what they're up against and is determined to publish the files to avenge her father's death. She found his logbook and discovered his last meeting was with a woman called Red Star, who had collected evidence of a chemical weapons program and even had samples of the nerve agent Novichok. Turns out Red Star didn't bring the files to the meeting in Kiev, but had actually secured them in a bank's safety deposit box that only she knows. Martin, however, recalls Red Star handing the address and the code to the safety deposit box on a note to Olga that day. Meanwhile, Edwards is found bound and gagged in his car. Breaking in, Martin breaks into Trevor's safe house and holds an analyst at gunpoint, demanding he log into the CIA system. They go through the photos on Operation Red Star, where they see Red Star holding the note. Just then, Martin is alerted that a hit team is on their way up, so he hurriedly prints everything on the operation. As the hit team pulls closer to the room, Martin forces the analyst to reveal the escape route. Trevor and the hit team get to the room, and he calls out to Martin, who reveals that he has a hostage. Trevor wants him to surrender so they can talk. But as he pulls closer, he realizes Martin has escaped through the secret exit. The hit team tries to cut him off on the floor below, but sees no sign of him. Martin had not left the room, and he takes out an agent trying to arrest him. Martin found himself in a rough spot, facing off against a formidable opponent who managed to land some heavy blows. Despite the hits, Martin held his ground and fought back with equal intensity. As the scuffle escalated, Trevor and his team attempted a surprise attack, but Martin, thinking quickly, propelled himself and one of the agents through a window to escape. He managed to recover and fled the scene alongside Sasha. After 10 hours, Tahana's superior grew impatient and instructed her to intensify their efforts. Martin and Sasha took refuge in an abandoned building, where Sasha remarked that Martin didn't fit the mold of any journalist she'd encountered. Martin modestly claimed he was just adept at his work. A photo of Lisa served as a stark reminder that time was slipping away. Struggling to make sense of the data he had extracted from the CIA system, Martin was once again confronted by Trevor and his team, who demanded his surrender. In a tense moment, Martin revealed himself, only to have Sasha point a gun at him. She informed Trevor about the bank, falsely asserting that Martin memorized the vault code and threatened to kill him unless the agents lowered their weapons. When her bluff didn't yield results, Sasha turned the gun on herself, claiming she was the sole person who knew the bank's location. Trevor, unwilling to take risks, ordered his team to stand down, allowing Martin and Sasha to depart. As they left, Sasha observed a peculiar familiarity between Martin and Trevor, pressing Martin for answers. He urged her to trust him. Meanwhile, Trevor returned to his office, delving into Martin's investigation. He discovered a note with a number previously thought to be a phone number, now realizing it was the vault's code. Martin and Sasha ditched their car, with Martin requesting her credit card, anticipating Trevor's next move. Martin then acquired a passport belonging to a woman resembling Sasha. Trevor received intel about their supposed flight to Moscow, but suspected it was a diversion. He instructed an analyst to review surveillance footage from all London airports. Elsewhere, Lisa and Tatiana visited a spa together. Lisa noticed Tatiana's bracelet and inquired about it, but Tatiana remained silent. At the airport, Sasha concealed her tattoos. Martin contacted Tatiana, requesting more time to deliver the files. She warned him against deceit, but permitted Lisa a brief conversation with Martin before reclaiming the phone. An irate Lisa accused Tatiana of being heartless. Tatiana then revealed that Martin was a spy who deceived Olga, implying Lisa was an unintended consequence, leaving Lisa in tears. Trevor obtained footage of Martin and Sasha boarding a flight to Kiev and planned to involve Colonel Zelenko to monitor them. Upon arrival in Kiev, Martin and Sasha were already under surveillance. They visited Sasha's childhood home, with Martin aware of their tales. Sasha remarked that Martin reminded her of her father, and Martin acknowledged he was a good man. She questioned Martin's departure from Kiev 12 years prior, and he confessed to losing someone dear. As she tried to console him, Martin recalled Olga's advice against personal attachments during missions. Lisa pressed Tatiana for information about her mother. Initially hesitant, Tatiana eventually disclosed that Martin attempted to save Olga, but she was accidentally killed, insinuating Martin's involvement. Hours later, Tatiana arrived in Kiev and attempted to contact Martin, who ignored the call. Martin and Sasha proceeded to the bank, aware of being followed. Inside, Sasha was escorted to the vault while Martin waited in the lobby. She called Martin with directions to the vault, but Trevor, Colonel Zelenko, and their agents intervened, demanding access. Martin discreetly incapacitated a security guard and triggered the alarms. Despite the chaos, Trevor insisted on proceeding to the vault. Inside the vault, Martin held Trevor at gunpoint, compelling him to input the code. They accessed a deposit box containing samples of Navic. Using Trevor as a shield, Martin navigated past the agents. Trevor insinuated Martin's role in Sasha's father's death, prompting Martin to knock him out. Martin and Sasha escaped to the roof, pursued by agents. They barely reached the street when gunfire erupted, injuring Martin. Despite the wound, they returned to their car, evading the police and finding refuge under a bridge. Under the bridge, Sasha feigned assisting Martin's injury, but seized his gun, accusing him of being one of the antagonists. Martin confessed that the Russians held his daughter hostage, and he needed the files to save her. Sasha, skeptical, shot him in the arm and drove away. Martin lost consciousness, experiencing a vision of Olga urging him to save their daughter. Upon regaining consciousness, Martin received a call from Tatiana, who demanded both the files and Sasha. He spoke with Lisa, who inquired about his return, to which he professed his love. Tatiana then instructed him to meet at 10 p.m. for the exchange. Contemplating his next move, Martin contacted Trevor for assistance, explaining the Russians' threat to Lisa's life. Trevor deduced Sasha's betrayal and found satisfaction in Martin seeking his help. Recalling that Sasha was using a rental car likely equipped with a tracker, Martin left Trevor on the line and visited the rental agency, discovering the car was parked at a train station. He rushed there, spotted Sasha, and after a brief chase, caught up with her, rendering her unconscious. He then took her to his place. That night, Martin met with Tatiana, sending her a live stream link showing Sasha bound alongside the case, promising to disclose the location once Lisa was safe. Tatiana agreed, but before releasing Lisa, handed her a bracelet that once belonged to her daughter. Lisa reunited with Martin, prompting him to reveal Sasha's location. Tatiana dispatched her men to apprehend Sasha, leaving 2 agents with her. As they awaited the arrival of Tatiana's men, Martin signaled Sasha, who opened fire, eliminating one of the agents. Martin and Lisa sought safety, with Martin engaging in a shootout with Tatiana and her remaining agent. During the firefight, Sasha exhausted her ammunition. Martin confronted Tatiana's agent, ultimately killing him. Tatiana then emerged, holding Sasha at gunpoint. Sasha urged Martin to abandon her and publish the files, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He instructed Lisa to stay put, advanced with the case, and upon experiencing a flashback from 12 years ago, hesitated, leading to Tatiana shooting him. Lisa rushed to his side, distraught. Tatiana forced Sasha to kneel, preparing to execute her, but a gunshot rang out, and Tatiana collapsed. Lisa had shot her. Suddenly, Trevor and MI6 agents surrounded Sasha, demanding her surrender. Sasha, under fire, leaped off the bridge and vanished. Days later, Lisa visited a Ukrainian prison where Martin was recovering. Martin expressed pride in her, and they embraced. She had also uncovered the truth about her mother's death, and Martin apologized, fearing her hatred. As Trevor departed his hotel, he encountered Lisa, who handed him a copy of the files, warning that the originals would be released if anything happened to her or Martin. She urged him to find a way to secure Martin's release. Later, Lisa received a letter from Sasha, revealing the identity of the double agent responsible for her mother's death and advising her that to survive in a world of wolves, one must become a wolf.